Well, it's our pleasure on InsideFortSmith.com to have the Lieutenant Governor of Arkansas, Tim Griffin, joining us. And Tim, good Sunday afternoon. Thanks for being with us. First question: how are the Griffins handling all of this inside time?
Well, we're hanging in there. We're about to go outside here in a minute and ride some bikes, and I'm going to push my 2-year-old in the stroller. You got to get out occasionally, and the weather was beautiful, beautiful yesterday, and we've been trying to get out once a day with the whole family. And when someone needs to go to the grocery store or wherever, that's me. I let the others stay here, and that's the way we've been sort of managing it. Spend a lot of time on the telephone, as you can imagine, and emails, and but we're managing, and I know it's a challenge for a lot of people.
Well, I know that you've probably been getting questions from all over the state, and that this is something that is just unprecedented. You've never seen it. I've never seen it. Right now, as of Sunday today, the latest news coming out is that to our south, Governor John Bell Edwards has had a shelter-in-place order that's gone into effect. Do you see Arkansas getting to that point? And if I mean, how far off is that if you do?
Yeah, well, I have not discussed, or I don't know, I should say, what the governor ultimately will do, but I think I haven't heard that is coming here. And but I will say that this is, as you said, it's a new situation, and as the circumstances change, the approach has changed, as we've seen a little bit. But regardless, what people need to do is to heed the guidance of the healthcare professionals, the White House, the governor. The governor and the folks at the Department of Health, Nate Smith, Dr. Nate Smith, and others have been on television providing updates every day, very helpful ones actually. And the bottom line is there's some things that we know that we can do that will help shorten the duration of this and reduce the severity of this, regardless of what this state does or that state does in terms of orders. We know what we need to do, and that is we need to limit our exposure, which means stay away from other people and practice the social distancing that people have been talking about. Look, my mother is 79, and I've told her to just stay away from other people, stay in her home. And if she needs things, then we will work in terms of groceries and supplies, or what have you, toiletries, whatever. We're gonna get that to her, but we need her, and particular people of her age, that range, older Americans, senior Americans. We need them to stay away from the normal interaction that they love to engage in. Also, I would say that that's very much true for people with reduced, compromised immune systems or respiratory systems. I mean, we all need to be limiting interaction if as much as possible, but that is particularly important
You know,
with the elderly.
I know that right now there's a lot of facts and there's a lot of fiction. People hear rumors, people see things on social media. One of those things is that the National Guard has had some involvement. I know they've had some involvement with testing. Kind of talk about what their mobilization has entailed and just what they're doing right now so that people know what's true and what's not.
Yeah, well, the national and this has been in the press, but the governor mobilized some National Guard folks to help with some of the um, some of the work down at the headquarters at the health department. Just basic stuff. The idea What you're talking about, I think, is this rumor that's been around for a couple of weeks about the president is somehow going to order all National Guard to do this or that.
Right.
That's got all sorts of problems with it. First of all, if you just Google um, national shutdown coronavirus, you'll see all sorts of articles that have completely debunked that.
Awesome.
That's number one. Well, let me say this.
Sure.
Number two, the White House debunked it. I think it was yesterday at a press conference, said we are not discussing a national shutdown. Number three, the National Security Council has debunked it. But here's what I would say, even more convincing: the president under our system doesn't have the power to deploy the National Guard of every state for police type activities. There's something called the Posse Comitatus Act, and the governors now, if you're going to send troops to Iraq or Afghanistan, like we've done over the last couple of decades, the president can do that. He can federalize them and send them over as part of their broader army. But what the president can't do is just co-opt all the National Guard as some kind of police force. There are very strict guidelines on that, and as a general rule, the governors, they're the ones that are in charge of the National Guard unless they are federalized to defend the country. The governors are in charge of that. And look, I think the best thing to do in terms of news, certainly look at a lot of different sources, but make sure they're credible sources. I think a good place to start from a news perspective is listen to the governor's press conference. They're usually at 1:30. He announces them, but they're usually at 1:30 every day with the Department of Health. That's a really good place to start. And the second place, and I'm watching one right behind this computer right now, is the White House press conference that the coronavirus task force has every day. So those are just good places to start. Look, I think for some context, I've never been through this. You've never been through this. My grandparents have never been through anything. Well, I don't think they had. They're past now. My parents definitely had. Maybe my grandparents went through something when they had that. I think it was in 1918. They had sort of a pandemic of sorts. I'm sure it was different, but my grandparents would have gone through the Depression. But this is new, and it's very disruptive. But the good news is we're going to get through this, and the goal is to minimize. To the extent possible, minimize those who will be sick or even the number of deaths. We want to minimize that. At the same time, a lot of people are economically enduring a lot of pain. They've had some people have had to completely shut down. A lot of people have. A lot of people have been laid off, and this is continuing, but we will get through this. I think we'll be stronger when we come out. I think we'll have a new perspective on a lot of different things as a result of this. I would say that there are other countries that have already come out the other end and are starting to. I think it's fair to say get to a better place. We will get there. This is a big challenge, particularly for freedom-loving people.
Sure.
People that aren't used to the government dictating their every move. We love freedom. We love to be out. It's a beautiful state. We love to enjoy it. This is really hard for us. And I've got 3 young kids. I got a 2-year-old, I've got a 10-year-old, and an almost 13-year-old, which means almost 30, right?
Right.
And I'm here in the house with them a lot, and so I totally get it. 2 of those are in school. Their school's been completely disrupted. One of them is engaging in online instruction. The other one, I get stuff emailed to me and I print it out. So I'm going through this, set the elected official hat aside, set the colonel and the reserves aside. I've got troops at Fort Bragg that I have to manage every day in terms of tracking what's going on with them. But I'm a father and I've got my kids. So a lot of this is new. We're trying to do the best we can, be thankful for the blessings we do have, trying to keep safe. But a lot of it is common sense. We really need everybody to adhere to the guidance of the governor and the healthcare experts, because the duration of this, as I said before, and the severity will depend upon our individual actions.
Yes, sir. I can tell you this, as a father of a 13-year-old myself, it's going to be a record week for Minecraft and Fortnite. So
Yeah,
that's
yeah,
definitely what's going on around here.
yeah.
From your chair working with Governor Hutchinson, and this will be one of our final questions. We know we got to let you go, but, biggest challenges ahead and biggest challenges right now for state government. What's going on in Little Rock that the average Arkansan isn't seeing right now that you have to really get past here in this next 1 to 2 weeks?
Well, look, I think this is impacting the entire state. Certainly, this is the population center, but whatever is going on here is certainly going on elsewhere, and that's why it's not just a matter of shutting down or the physical schools here in Little Rock, but it's statewide, right? It's everybody's problem. We've got hospitals all over the state, healthcare providers all over the state. I was just texting with a lady in Hot Springs whose husband is a physician at Mercy there, and so there's, whether it be the issue of the mask and other PPE and equipment, this is a challenge statewide. So I want to say that first of all. Secondly, I think knowing where this goes, uncertainty is the biggest challenge. We don't know what we don't know. We are, according to Dr. Fauci, the expert that the epidemiologist and expert that is on leads the corona virus task force, one of the key leaders there. Look, he reminds us that we're about 10 days behind in terms of knowledge, because the incubation or period or whatever the technical term would be, we today are really experiencing 10 days ago.
Sure.
And so we don't know exactly where this goes, but what we do know is some of the principles that we need to follow to best bend the curve down, is the way the governor and the president and others have talked about it, which is just to do the best we can to minimize this. And at the same time, we have vaccines and all these other things being researched. So I think uncertainty is a big part of it. But ultimately, the economic impact, people have to put food on their table, et cetera. That sort of impact is a huge, massive challenge, in addition to parallel to the health challenge. And those are going to be the biggest challenge. But look, we will get through this as a country, and I would just encourage people to abide by the guidance. Our individual action really, really matters. I was talking to my mom this morning, and she said that this person she knows had been had to go on a business trip or something, and was coming back to be with her. And I said, "What?" Mm-hmm. If that person unknowingly gets infected and passes it to takes it back to my 79-year-old mother, then that's a problem. That's a big, big problem. So we've got to be smart about this. And it is, look, we will get through it. I know we will, but it is serious, and we need to treat it as such.
Tim, as always, good talking to you. Thanks for taking some time to be with us. Any final thoughts, comments, anything we missed?
Do your best to enjoy the outdoors away from other people if you can. Go for a walk, a run, a bike ride. Maybe take your family to do that. Breaks up the monotony a little bit, get some fresh air. And I see someone sneaking out your door to go
Yeah,
outside.
the pleasures of working from home, right?
Hey, it's all good. Yeah, it's all good. In any event, just keep it in your thoughts and in your prayers. And I will say this: been really encouraged as I always am by some of the stories that of Arkansans helping Arkansans, just reaching out um, and helping other people. It's really been incredible. So it's like one big family here in the state, and that's really that's pretty incredible. So in any event, just call me. Anybody can call me if they need me. They can call my office at 501 and I do have a skeleton staff. I always have a skeleton staff because we only
Right.
have two staff people at the lieutenant governor's office. I think what they're starting to do now, I asked them to do this, is alternate which one. We just have one there at a time. But we are not closing, and even though the Capitol is closed, so people can call if they need anything. But just comply with what the governor's saying, and let's get through this as quickly as possible.
All right. Hey, thanks for being with us.
Yep. Be safe. God bless you. Thank you.
Thank you.